Imagine you're Evelyn Wong. You're standing in a beige IRS office staring at a stack of receipts that make no sense, being yelled at by a woman whose cardigan is as sharp as her tongue. Your life feels small. It feels like a series of wrong turns and what ifs, but then someone hands you a pair of headphones, tells you to do something completely nonsensical, and suddenly the office walls dissolve. You aren't just a laundromat owner anymore. You're an opera singer. You're a martial arts master. You're a rock sitting at the edge of a silent canyon. This isn't just a movie plot. It's a masterclass in timeline shifting. Most of us are living the IRS office version of our lives, convinced that this one slightly disappointing path is all there is. But quantumly speaking, you are currently entangled with every other version of yourself that has ever existed. There's a version of you right now that made the other choice, the scary one, the big one. The one that led you to your highest potential. That version of you isn't in a different universe. They're on a different frequency of the same space you're standing in. In the movie, they call it verse jumping. In reality, we call it aligning with our highest timeline. You don't need a high-tech headset to do it. You just need to realize that you are one bizarre, bold decision away from pulling the skills of that peak version of you into the here and now.
What the are you doing?
Let's stop being the version of us that's just getting by. It's time to jump. We've been lied to about how time works. We're taught that time is like a one-way train track, linear, rigid, and deeply unforgiving. If you missed your stop 5 years ago, tough luck, Buttercup. But in 1957, a guy named Hugh Everett III looked at the math and basically said, actually, that's nonsense.
This is bullshit!
He proposed the many worlds interpretation. It suggests that the universe doesn't just have one path. It's a massive, infinite branching tree. For every choice you've ever made, a new branch was created. There's a version of you right now that chose the salad instead of the pizza. More importantly, there's a version of you that already has the 4K life. The dream career, the effortless health, the bank account that doesn't cause heart palpitations. This isn't just a woo-woo fantasy. It's a mathematical certainty in the quantum field. You aren't trying to create that life out of thin air. That's the standard definition way of thinking. It's exhausting and it involves too much sweat. Instead, think of your consciousness like a cosmic remote control. That 4K life is already being broadcast right now. You just haven't tuned into the right frequency yet. You've been watching the Drama and Debt channel for so long you forgot there's a highest timeline preset. But here's the truth, the remote isn't broken, you're just sitting on the buttons. If you've ever spent 3 hours aggressively affirming in front of the mirror while feeling like a total fraud, this is for you. We're obsessed with the hustle culture version of spirituality. We think if we just force the universe to give us what we want, it'll eventually cave. But there's a biological reason why striving usually ends in a faceplant. It's called the law of reversed effort. Think of it like a Chinese finger trap. The harder you pull, the tighter it gets. When you strive from a place of, I don't have it, you are literally broadcasting that standard definition signal of lack. This is where the magic of surrender comes in. Most people think surrendering means waving a white flag and quitting. In reality, surrender is just a high-speed data transmission. It's a moment when you stop manual driving and switch on the cosmic autopilot. By going with the flow, you stop creating the friction that keeps you stuck in the old blurry timeline. Your brain's prefrontal cortex, that part of you that thinks it's in charge, starts micromanaging the universe. It's like trying to manually control your own heartbeat. You're going to mess it up and you're going to get tired. Quantumly speaking, forcing is high entropy energy. It's messy, it's noisy, and it keeps you locked on the low resolution channel. Now I know what you're thinking. That sounds great, but how do I actually hit the 4K button? Well, it turns out of a piece of high-tech hardware sitting right in the middle of your brain. Meet the pineal gland. Ancient cultures called it third eye, which sounds a bit like something you'd see on a blacklight poster in a college dorm. But modern science is catching up, and it's actually way cooler. This tiny gland contains microscopic calcite crystals, and these crystals are piezoelectric. That's just a fancy way of saying they generate an electrical charge when you put pressure on them. When you use specific breathwork, basically a system reboot for your nervous system,
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
you create that pressure. Suddenly, your pineal gland isn't just a part of your brain, it's a biological 5G antenna. It starts picking up high-frequency signals from the quantum field that your standard definition eyes can't see. Most people are walking around with their antenna pointed at anxiety FM or yesterday's regrets radio. They're receiving the same old blurry signals over and over again. But when you activate this internal hardware, you start receiving 4K data. You start seeing opportunities that were invisible 10 minutes ago. You aren't hallucinating a new life. You're finally tuning into the signal that's been there the whole time. It's not a mystery. It's just better reception. The highest timeline doesn't require you to chase it down and tackle it to the ground. In fact, the version of you in 4K isn't chasing anything. They're just existing in that reality. If you want to shift, you have to stop acting like a novice and start trusting the cosmic flow. It's the difference between high-speed internet connection and a dial-up modem. One is effortless, the other makes a lot of annoying noise and takes forever to load a single image. Stop being the dial-up modem of your own life. So how do you know if the 4K version of your life is actually loading? Look for the glitches. Most people call these the Mandela effect. Those weird moments where a large group of people remember history one way, but the record says another.
It's a Mandela effect.
Like a certain cartoon bear's name being spelled differently, or a movie that everyone swears exists but has vanished from the archives. In the standard definition world, we're told these are just memory errors. But when you view reality as a series of shifting timelines, these glitches take on a much more magical meaning. They are residual information. It's like when a software update finishes, and there are still a few files from the old version sitting on your desktop. These glitches are proof that the reality code is updating. And sometimes the shifts feel a bit like quantum crumbling. You might lose a job, a friendship suddenly fades, or your favorite coffee mug just shatters. It feels like chaos, but it's actually the old blurry resolution dissolving to make room for the high-definition life you've aligned with. You might be watching your favorite late-night show or the news, and an interview is so bizarre you find yourself thinking, wait, this can't be real. When the old world starts to break, don't panic. Start recognizing the weird stuff, and in that moment, imagine yourself aligning with your highest timeline. Use the weird as a jumping pad to get you to where you want to be. In Everything Everywhere All at Once, the characters don't just wish they were better, they verse jump. They perform a bizarre, unexpected action.
What is she doing? I think when she does something weird, it helps her fight. It gives her power.
To link their consciousness to a version of themselves who already has that skill they need. Suddenly, the bored laundromat owner is an expert in martial arts because she tapped into the timeline where she did the work. You can do the exact same thing using what I call a time anchor. Think of it as a physical link to the timeline you want to inhabit. Take the story of Jim Carrey. Back in 1985, he was struggling to make ends meet, but he performed his own version of verse jumping.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years. Or 3 years, maybe.
And kept it in his wallet until it was literally falling apart. He wasn't just fantasizing about success. He was anchoring his current reality to the frequency of his highest timeline. He was telling the universe, I am already the guy who earned this check. The check was a constant reminder to his biological antenna to stay tuned into the frequency of the movie star version of himself. In Everything Everywhere All at Once, the jumps are triggered by doing something weird, like wearing your shoes on the wrong feet. In your life, the weird thing is believing in your highest timeline before the evidence shows up. By bringing a piece of the future into the physical now, you stop being the version of you that's stuck. You start downloading the skills and the reality of the version that's already won. At the end of the day, the highest timeline isn't some far-off destination you have to earn. It's a frequency you have to match. Right now, at this very second, you are standing at a crossroads of infinite versions of yourself. You can stay in the standard definition loop, reacting to every glitch with fear and frustration, or you can realize that the remote has been in your hand the entire time. You are not a victim of a linear history. You are the active rewriter of a multidimensional masterpiece. Visualize yourself as the person who has already shifted. The resolution of your world has no choice but to sharpen. It starts with one decision, a decision to stop focusing on the blurry static of your past and start trusting the 4K signal of your potential. So the next time things feel like they're falling apart, just smile. Remind yourself that the old code is just clearing out to make room for the update. Pay attention to what's happening around you. Shifts happen with every decision we make. When we make them more intentionally, we align with where we want to be more easily. Your highest timeline is already broadcasting. All you have to do is tune in.